Another circumstance strengthened and confirmed these feelings. Soon after my arrival in the hovel, I discovered some papers in the pocket of the dress which I had taken from your laboratory. At first I had neglected them, but now that I was able to decipher the characters in which they were written, I began to study them with diligence. It was your journal of the 4 months that preceded my creation. You minutely described in these papers every step you took in the process of your work. This history was mingled with accounts of domestic occurrences. You doubtless recollect these papers. Here they are. Everything is related in them which bears reference to my accursed origin. The whole detail of that series of disgusting circumstances which produced it is set in view. The minutest description of my odious and loathsome person is given, in language which painted your own horrors and rendered mine indelible. I sickened as I read. Hateful day when I received life, I exclaimed in agony. Accursed creator, why did you form a monster so hideous that even you turned from me in disgust? God, in pity, made man beautiful and alluring after his own image, but my form is a filthy type of yours, more horrid even from the very resemblance. Satan had his companions, fellow devils, to admire and encourage him, but I am solitary and abhorred.
Hello? Welcome.
This is Friends of the Two Cities.
Oh, I'm so excited.
A long time ago, Nikki and I were working on a little episode on Ohio. You might have heard it. I hope you did, because I spent forever editing it for your enjoyment. It was an exciting situation for me. It was our second request. It was another state episode, and it was something that I have a personal connection to. When I was doing my research, I knew I wanted to talk about Helltown. Abandoned places are fascinating, and the lore behind the vicinity was exciting and unique. However, someone suggested something that threw me off my confidence. It was at my work. Sitting at the front desk, I sparked up a conversation with one of the clients about Ohio. She was a former resident who was interested and confused that I was doing a podcast episode on the Buckeye State. Most Ohioans would be. However, her response is what threw me off. When I told her Nikki and I would do an episode on Paranormal Ohio, she exclaimed, "Oh, so you're going to go over Melonheads, right?" The what? Even though we made the episode, and a good one at that, I always wondered what the Melonheads were. When I looked them up, I found them to be the perfect example of the same paranormal story shared between two cities. Basically, the Melonheads are what Tales of Two Cities is about. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Tales of Two Cities.
This is the portion of the show where we give Marcy nightmares for the rest of the week. This morning, watch if you dare. We're continuing our special series of reports, Michigan Monsters. Today, we're taking a look at a mysterious creature unique to West Michigan. News Channel 3's Aaron Dimmick joins us with who you should watch out for. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Kirk. They're called Melonheads. These little people with large heads are said to creep around the woods of Allegan County. Stories of how they got there differ, but one thing's for sure, they've scared a lot of people.
I can kind of see if you're there by yourself or with one other person and you start hearing noises that you're not used to hearing, that your imagination will start to run wild with you.
Or it could be a Melonhead.
The vast network of trails surrounding the Felt Mansion and Saugatuck Dunes State Park are said to be haunted by this mysterious band of creatures.
You do hear stories of older people that said, well, back when I was a teenager in the 1950s, we would be out and we'd see glowing eyes in the woods, or we might see something.
Some people believe the Melonheads live in an underground series of tunnels, sometimes jumping out to attack people or eat them. There are lots of different stories about how these little monsters got here. They all have to do with people who have hydrocephalus. It's a real condition. Excess fluid in the brain causes the head to grow. The stories say the melon-headed children lived at an asylum near the Felt Mansion.
And there was a doctor that was there, and so he had the children and he started conducting experiments on them.
The Melonheads revolted,
killing him, eating him, and going into the woods where they supposedly are today.
Scott Kuykendall of the Allegan County Historical Society says there's no hard evidence that any of this ever happened. There was never an asylum in the area. However, there was a prison.
It's fun if you look at the stories and look at the time frames, it kind of fits into what the fears were at the time.
There could be a more simple explanation. The Felt Mansion was once used as a Catholic school, and that caused some tension.
The local town folk referred to them as Melonheads because they were considered smarter. It was a negative, obviously. They thought that they came from money and that they were rich and they had big heads because they were so smart.
It seems that every town has a scary story to tell, and that can get people interested in the world around them.
So for us, it's fantastic because we're able to draw them in with the interest of the paranormal, and at the same time, they're able to learn about the history of the county.
Guys, I'm really excited to tell you about Green Chef. Green Chef is a USDA-certified organic company that makes eating well easy and affordable, with plans to fit every kind of lifestyle. Many of you may know that Ellie and I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian and she's vegan, so finding something like this is really exciting. Green Chef lets you choose from a wide array of easy-to-follow lifestyles with select organic ingredients. Recipes are quick and easy with step-by-step instructions, chef tips, and photos to guide you along. And everything is hand-picked and delivered right to your door. And the best part is their meal plans include paleo, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, Mediterranean, heart smart, lean and clean, keto, gluten-free, and omnivore. When I went to the website to pick my meal plan, my mouth was watering looking at the options. Mac and cheese with pesto? Yes, please. So for $50 off your first box of Green Chef, go to greenchef.us/TO2C. That's greenchef.us/TO2C for $50 off your first box of Green Chef. And back to Ellie for the rest of the story.
There are various versions of these little creatures. In Michigan, they are said to reside around Felt Mansion, although they have been reportedly seen in the forested areas of Ottawa County. One of the versions states that they were originally children with hydrocephalus who lived in the Junction Insane Asylum near Felt Mansion. Hydrocephalus is a condition in which excess cerebrospinal fluid builds up in the brain of the child. In the story, after the children endured physical and emotional abuse, they became feral and were released into the forests surrounding the asylum. Some versions of the legend say that the children once lived in the mansion itself, but later escaped to a system of caverns or caves in the nearby hill left over from an abandoned zoo, wanting to seek a life of peace. Other versions of the legend say that the children devised a plan to escape and kill the doctor that abused them. When they did, the children had no place to hide the body, so they cut it up into small pieces and hid it around the mansion. Random teenagers who had broken into the mansion claimed to have seen ghosts of the children and saw shadows of the doctor's murder through the light coming from an open door. This legend became the inspiration for the movie The Melonheads, which is based around the West Michigan legend. But that wasn't the only location for the legend. It also came from the land of the Buckeye. The Cleveland suburb of Kirtland is where most of the Melonhead lore has originated from. According to the Ohioan tales, the Melonheads were originally orphans under the watch of a mysterious figure known as Dr. Crow, sometimes spelled Crowe, Krohe, or Kroh, or also conveniently known as Dr. Melonhead. Crow performed experiments on the children, who developed large hairless heads and malformed bodies. Some state that the children were already suffering from hydrocephalus, and that Crow injected even more fluid into their brains. Similar to Michigan, the children killed Crow, but this time they burned the orphanage and retreated into the surrounding forest to feed on babies. The Melonhead kids have been seen along Wisner Road in Kirtland in Chardon Township. Here is an account on Dead Ohio. 8/26/2014. Kristen and her friends visit the Kirtland Crybaby Bridge late one night. I went with 2 other guys to Crybaby Bridge in Kirtland. We were teenagers looking for a scare or the truth, the usual teenage stuff. I brought my camera with me and we stopped on the bridge. It was raining outside, so we stayed in the car. We didn't know exactly what would happen, so most of us were nervous just being there at 10:30 at night. It was pitch black, and you couldn't see anything. I took my camera and had the flash on. I snapped a few pictures all about the bridge from the car. I took one picture of the creek in the woods that were closed off to the public. I happened to catch a strange image on the picture. It was a white orb. It seemed to be moving even though I had the camera very still. And it had a green tint in the middle of its orb. I showed this to the 2 other guys I was with, and they freaked out, and we left ASAP. I wanted to see if anyone could debunk this photo, but I can't come up with any logical answers. Another movie, Legend of the Melonheads, released in 2010, is based on the Ohio legend and various other legends in the Kirtland area. Throughout southwest Connecticut, especially in central and eastern Fairland County and western New Haven County, Connecticut, the Melonhead story runs rapid. In eastern Fairfield County, many can be found in communities such as Trumbull, Shelton, Stratford, Monroe, Easton, and Weston. In western and central New Haven County, tales can be found in towns like Seymour, Oxford, Milford, and Southbury. The story states that Fairfield County was the location of an asylum for the criminally insane that burned down in the fall of 1960. Many died, including all of the staff and most of the patients. 10 to 20 inmates, however, were unaccounted for. It was believed that they survived and escaped into the woods. Because of their use of cannibalism and inbreeding, the Melonheads were created. Another version describes the Melonheads as descendants of the colonial-era family from Shelton Trumbull, who were banished after rumors of witchcraft were made against them. As you would expect, the descendants are victims of inbreeding. Melonheads prey upon humans who wander into their territory. Some claim that the Melonheads would bite or consume whoever enters their territory. The Melonheads' home commonly involves a secluded, rustic, or dirt road running through it. In a number of towns, such as Shelton, Trumbull, and Monroe, several legends place the Melonheads' territory around an area known as Dracula Drive. For instance, some legends place the Melonheads in and around Velvet Street, which runs around the wooded area of Trumbull and Monroe, near the eastern border. Other legends mistake Sawmill City Road in Shelton as Dracula Drive. Some roads mistakenly referred to as Dracula Drive include 1. Sawmill City Road in Shelton, 2. Emmons Road in Oxford, 3. Velvet Street in Trumbull and Monroe, runs between Tasha Road and Trumbull and Judd Road in Monroe near the eastern border, 4. Zion Hill Road in Milford, 5. The roads around the Lake Mohegan in Fairfield, 6. Marginal Road in New Haven, 7. Jeremy Swamp Road in Southbury, and 8. Paths/roads in around the Roosevelt Forest in Stratford. There's also been some legends of other monsters similar to the Melonheads in Connecticut. Some similar legends include the Danbury Frog People, commonly known as Danbury/Bethel, 2. The Faceless People of Monroe, the House of the Faceless People, commonly told in Monroe, and 3. Mongoloid Village, commonly told to the communities of eastern New Haven County like North Branford. When doing the research on Melonheads, I kept thinking about Frankenstein's monster. Both are creatures feared and hated, but are they creatures that want to be loved? A long time ago, Nikki and I did an episode on monsters, and we both determined that maybe the thing we fear most about monsters isn't how they're different from us, but maybe because they are something we see in ourselves. They are the other that wants to fit in. The Melonheads are people that we can actually see. Hydrocephalus is a disease that people can get, and basically, the Melonheads are creatures that look like people that have hydrocephalus. So why fear them? Maybe it's because of the rumors that they are products of inbreeding. Maybe it's because they resorted to cannibalism. Maybe it's because even though they look different from us, in the end, they are just the darkest form of who we are. They are all something that we have done, and we will do so till the end of time. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on your podcast device. We're also on Spotify and Stitcher, so please join us there too. Also, I want to thank Ricardo for creating this song. If you want to find more of his work, it will be in our description. If you want to have more than just free stuff, check out our Patreon. Nikki and I create special episodes for the one-time fee of $5. We also offer merch, shout-outs, and other deals as well. If you want to represent us, please check out our merch store on TeePublic. We offer many exclusive Tales of Two Cities items, as well as other items from artists all over the world. If you want to talk, write to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our email at talesofthe2citiespodcast.com. We love to hear from you, and we generally love telling your stories on our podcast as well. But, and above all, thank you so much for listening to this episode.